Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me and the wonderful Miss Gail. My name is Andrew Cook. I use he, him, his pronouns.
Hi, and I'm Gael Chiarella Alba, and I am here to honor the self-care now. So I really recognize that we're here now, and so our effort is to give you all an experience while you're here in this room in the way that you can take it for yourself and embody it, and then bring it back into wherever else you're up to for the rest of the time that you're here.
Thank you, Gail. And yes, the emphasis is on self-care now, not later, because we can't really do self-care in the future. It's always kind of in the present. Yeah. But we can set up plans and structures and routines that will help us succeed in the future. But it begins by practicing here now. And so that's what we're going to try and do today. So we're just going to go just really briefly a little bit about our stories and our background, and then we'll kind of dive right into the content. So that's me up there with my uncle and my grandmother, people I support and care for. Both of them have COPD, and my uncle, he's showing signs of dementia and has so for 3 years now. He just recently had a heart attack 2 weeks ago, and he was given 40 weeks of physical therapy and recovery, which, oh boy, he is super resistant to it. He's one of those strong, confident males that never goes to the doctor unless he has to go to the doctor, you know? So, and then there's my sweet grandma, who has worked in the healthcare system all her life and has been kind of the model and inspiration for me to be here now.
Excuse me. I'm Gael Chiarella Alba, and I am here to a large degree to support Andrew, whose idea this was and whose invitation this is, first to me to support him, and then to all of you. And I think it's a fantastic idea. I am a lifelong yoga therapist, and my experience is that I brought my already present way of being and my training, which I was grateful to have to the bottom of my toes, into my regular way of being with just people aging in my family. I had a really big family in my upline, and I watched a lot of my elders, my uncles and aunts, getting older and aging and going through the process in their various ways. And then my son had a severe traumatic injury, and that was out of the blue. So I also had the experience of, here's a trauma, and I have to show up in an environment in which I'm ill-prepared on every level to manage what's going on in my life. And I recognize that my self-care skills were in my backpack already, and I was very grateful for that. And then secondarily, I came back from the recovery of my son, hallelujah, and back to a life that was completely changed, and both of my parents now in decline, and bringing my same skills to that experience, but in a different way. And I'm happy to share with you the simple steps, and they are simple, that you can do to bring self-care now.
Okay, so I'm Bruce McIntyre. What all am I supposed to say? So I'm from Oklahoma City. Cared for my wife for the past 14 years. Parents, also, a variety of things, and we're kind of easing into that. And I lead the Parkinson Foundation of Oklahoma, so I see a lot of Parkinson patients and caregivers, and along the way, certainly I always try to put a premium on taking care of myself as I go, and usually do that to some degree of success along the way. So,
I'm Sheila Jacobson. I was a caregiver, not full-time, but for my father, who had MS and was confined to a wheelchair for the last 6 years of his life. and passed away in June of 2012. I always feel like I'm more on the spiritual side, like when he couldn't get out of the house to go to services or for the holidays, I would get people to come in to blow shofar for him, despite the fact that his synagogue was wheelchair accessible. I think he didn't feel comfortable going out in a wheelchair. Plus, he was on a catheter for like a large part of that time also. I guess that wasn't comfortable for him. And my mom is now 89, and I've been caregiving for her. She's got kidney disease and high blood pressure, and I feel like she's got cognitive impairment, although she hasn't ever been officially diagnosed. She's never seen a neurologist, which maybe is something that we're going to look into. I live in Skokie, which is very close to here. It didn't take me much more than 15 minutes to get here this morning. So nice to meet everyone.
How's that? My name's Pam. I am a registered nurse, and I've been a caregiver my whole life to everybody that I know, sometimes probably in an unhealthy way. But I'm here actually last minute to help with a vendor booth, and I've learned a lot about the type of people you guys are and how much I appreciate all you guys do for the people that you're caring for, and things that I take for granted because it comes so natural for me, how much of a challenge it must be for you guys and how much grit it takes to do what you're doing. So I commend you all.
My name's Heidi Collis. I'm promoting ColorScurf. I'm in a vendor booth with ColorScurf toothbrush right now. My grandma is 93 years old, and we're all in a situation where we're having to care for her right now. She has dementia and Alzheimer, and it's a difficult position to be in at 93 years old. We're right out here, ColorScurf toothbrush. Her husband, my grandfather, invented it. Please visit us when we need this session.
I'm Martha Garman, and my husband has ALS and FTD. And one of the reasons I'm sitting back here is he's here at the conference with me, and so I generally have to leave a workshop in the middle. And so I'm just, I was surprised at what a journey this was and how clueless I was before I became a caregiver. And so I'm looking for ways. I'm writing books now to help caregivers. I've been in ministry for 25 years and retiring December 1st so that I can find ways to support caregivers because I'm a little more outspoken than many people will be. So I want to eventually train churches to take care of their caregivers.
Hi, I'm Patty, and my husband, I've been caring for him. Well, we've been married for 34 years. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's about 10 years ago, just placed in a memory care 6 months ago. So I am in big need of self-care. Basically, what I've used at this point is a massage every month, which I know is a great start, but I need more. I need things I can do sitting right here. So that's one of the reasons I decided to help in this session.
Hello, are we answering specific questions, or I'm sorry, I'm late, or just whatever? Okay. Hi, I'm Monique. I'm a social worker. So on one hand, I'm a professional caregiver, and I care for my mom. And I never thought I feel a little bit like an imposter because I care for her long distance. So she's in Jamaica, I'm here, but I am doing everything except the physical care. So it's been a slow realization that I'm still a caregiver, so, and it's been the last 3 years to just kind of come into grips with that and all the feelings, emotions that I thought I was the only one experiencing, even though I'm a social worker. So there's a whole lot of conflict there just to kind of resolve as I evolve and grow. So a high degree of psychological stress that I wasn't even acknowledging, but I started to do that now. And I've always taken care of myself in terms of exercise and eating well and so on. But really just embracing the role and coming kind of in a wholesome way is where I am right now, and then trying to use that to like Nicole was talking about this morning, accepting the transformation and then using that in some sort of life purpose way. It's kind of where I see myself going with that. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Walda Prignano. I'm actually from the Chicago area. I live in Arlington Heights. I take care of my mom, who's been diagnosed with Lewy body dementia, and she just turned 75 on Friday last week. So she was diagnosed in 2012, so she was diagnosed pretty young, I guess. I kind of found this conference by accident. I kind of Googled because I was looking for a lot of times, and I've heard this before, being in these sessions, that we think we're alone, and I was trying to find a community that I could connect to and come to a place where I could learn so much more. So it's been a wonderful experience, this conference. So it was a last minute decision to come. So yesterday was my first day, today's my second day. And I really am appreciating all of the information I'm able to take, not just about what she's going through, but also validating what I've been through and what's to come too. And also how to, with other family members, how they're reacting and how I can help support them understand this whole thing. Because I think a lot of times when you're not actually going through it, you assume a lot of things. And that's kind of what I've been experiencing, which has been a level of frustration. But it's also about how I can help them through this process, because it's been difficult really for the whole family.
My name is Angela, and I live in Chicago. I recently moved back at the end of July after 20 years in Minnesota. My mom turned 80, and she does not have any major diagnosis at this time, but she does have several health issues, and in the last year she had both knees replaced, and I made several trips here. Some were planned, some were not, and the stress and expense and disruption was just too much that I made the decision to relocate to be in closer proximity to her. And so I'm currently assisting with more routine things like going to doctor's appointments and paperwork and things like that. But I too was looking for some type of support group for adult children caring for their parents, and was notified about this conference. So I came to learn, to think about, how to prepare for what may lie ahead, and just for support. So it's been a really good experience so far.
My name is Chantal Collis. I'm here with the Collis Curve company. So that's my sister Heidi over there. And so our grandmother has Alzheimer's. So we're all in a position where we have to step up. And I know that in order to do that, self-care is a very important thing that you have to learn to practice in order to be present in the right ways. So that's why I was very interested in attending this session.
My name is Joan Cook. I take care of my husband. He has MS. He is bedbound. He cannot feel from the waist down, and obviously can't walk. A high level of care, 24/7, and we moved from northwest area of Chicago to Waterloo 5 years ago, and he came into my care after a nursing home 4 years ago. I found this conference, this is the third one that I've attended, and it's just been great to fill me up mentally, spiritually, and then to learn the physical ways to attend to myself rather than just my husband.
Thank you, everyone. I'm hearing a couple themes. First theme I'm hearing is a choice to care. It's a choice. Some of you have said you have to care, but it sounds like it's a choice. It's an intentional effort. And beyond that, each of you showed up here today, another choice that you made. Not just that, you each chose to come into this specific session out of 12 other ones that are going on. So I just really want to validate and empower you in the sense that you are making positive choices in your life now. And that is self-care now, not later. And the second thing I'm hearing is a sense of needing support. Yeah, I see a couple heads nodding right now. Needing support. And just by sharing our story in a group, we are finding support. We're finding connection with pain. We're finding connection with struggle. We're finding connection in another person's life. We're seeing their story reflected in our lives. Do you have any thoughts?
I think it's really significant that we hear the diversity. We're all in a similar situation, but the diversity of the whys. Piggybacking on Andrew's comment that you came here to share, you've probably heard it somewhere here at the conference that the sharing is important, and that if you ask most caregivers what they really want, some part of it is going to be, I just want to tell my story. And that I want to really support that, because I just want to tell my story is a big thing, not a small thing. I came in contact with an author. His name was James Pennypacker. He is a prof at the University of Pennsylvania, or was, and he wrote a book called Opening Up, The Healing Power of Confiding in Others. And in his work, he wrote the book, and I read the book, but then I also met him, and I got the backstory. He was having students come and talk about trauma, and they were speaking to another person, and they were in a study, so they kind of had to talk. And they came back the next day. It was like, no, tell your same story. We don't want another story tomorrow. We want your same story. Third time, fourth time, 10th time, same story. And they were tested and blood tested and whatever other things go on. And what he found was that literally their T cell counts improved over time. He did nothing else but listen. That's important.
Can you remind me again what T cells are?
Cancer fighting, immune system support, gangbusters.
What's the T cell?
I'm not sure, but you can look up his work. The piece that I really want to give you, the question was, what is the T for? The point is that you are improving physically, not just emotionally and mentally, by sharing your story. And for caregivers, that's a big deal. Yeah.
So I'm not really going to spend much time on this slide, but I'm sure some of you might have a reaction. Some are like, oh, I know those things. That's familiar. I've had many emergencies, 2 o'clock phone calls, falls in the middle of the night, frustration, accidents. I think you understand where I'm going with this, so let's move on. So what happens when everything goes wrong? You know, what do we do? How do we find these resources? How do we find that little spark of goodness within us when things go the wrong way? So the question is, am I ready to fail? And am I ready to ask for help? And know that, you know, maybe you're not ready to fail, and maybe you're not ready to ask for help. And that's okay too. And I want to validate that experience. And we can always ask, is everything going wrong? Or is there this specific instance where the fall is what is going wrong, or the illness is what's going wrong, but there's other aspects of your life that are going right? And so holding both of those things, holding the good and the bad, and welcoming them, allowing them to be.
Aikido, go in the direction of the fall. Have any others of you ever studied Aikido?
Yes.
You have?
I haven't studied it, but I know it's a type of martial art.
It is. It's awesome. Aikido is an awesome martial art, and I began looking at it when it was first coming into this country. And the one thing about Aikido is it's not a beat-em-up martial art at all. It is a martial art that says that you are most sustainable, you yourself, when you're under attack, by going in the direction of the fall. By going in the direction of the fall. And we're trained to go in the direction of the fall, meaning here comes this attack. In our caregiving lives, it's probably not somebody running at you going, ah. It's an issue. It's a something that's happened. It's a thought that's occurred. It's a, oh no, I don't want that occurring. And the reaction inside of you of resistance and pushing away. And the Aikidoist learns going in the direction of the fall is there's other options. You might step back. You might literally turn your body and the attacker just moves past you. Or you might engage with the attacker in such a way as to disarm them. You flip them to the floor. The thing that you're not doing is really the thing that's most important. You're not putting up your fisticuffs and going to have a big brawl about how you have to have it be. Does that make sense? That's a caregiver's mantra, I think.
So you said sometimes someone is not going to be coming at you. In the case of working with someone with frontal temporal dementia or other aggressive forms of dementia where aggressive behaviors might come out, and the chasing, that might happen, right? And so in that sense, yeah, going with the fall, going with the flow of their energy. Obviously, you're protecting yourself if they are physically aggressive and de-escalating the situation, giving distance, and allowing the person to express their anger. Instead of saying, stop being so angry, stop screaming, stop yelling, stop hitting stuff, allow them to express themselves. And we know, especially with dementia, the reality of the situation that, you know, in a period of time, they're going to be out of our lives. You know, we're going to experience that grief and that loss. So we just want to honor them and allow them to express their full nature, express their humanity. So when everything does go wrong, how do you respond? There's the flight, there's the fight, there's the freeze. We might pray, we might scream. Some of us dance. The encouragement is to find yourself, to allow yourself to express, not to bottle it up and then erupt. But then when you erupt, allowing that too and welcoming that as part of your human expression. Okay, so I want to take a little bit of time and we'll kind of go around the other way in the circle. I just want to ask, you know, what comes to mind when you think of self-care? You know, any thoughts or feelings, any sensations, or any specific actions that you take that supports your self-care?
I think one of the most important things for my self-care, besides taking care of myself, you know, physically, would be my social has been tremendously affected by my husband's care. I feel isolated. We moved to another state, and I'm not getting that. So that's just something that I'm finding that I really need to do. I get filled up here, but then back home it's just him and me, and he doesn't even talk much. So back to square one. So I guess I need to start doing more phone calls to people to meet that need.
So something I've done for self-care is start, for the past 2 years, I've done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And so I picked up that hobby. It's been a really good outlet for me because I naturally have a lot of energy, but, you know, in class or in work, you know, it's not the right environment to have, you know, you have to control your energy. And so when I do Jiu-Jitsu, having that energy is a good thing. So it's been a healthy outlet for me.
Getting enough rest, and I've been encouraged getting enough rest because not just from the regular workday, but after long days with my mom, I am exhausted, and I've been encouraged to counter all of the things I do with and for my mom, to do things for myself, and I'm not always sure what those are. So I strive to look for to remember, you know, what things interest me and to take action towards those things. But so this is a long, weird answer to your question, but the things that I do consistently that are helpful to me are getting enough rest, and I do like to read. So making sure I have reading time and just quiet time during each day.
So something that I've also done is also making sure to get enough rest. And it's funny, it's like you don't realize how important that really is, but just allowing yourself to just sleep in. Or just, for me, it's been a lot about establishing a routine and just making sure I try to go to bed at the same time, you know, turn everything off and just kind of like shut down. And then trying to get up every day at the same time in the morning. It's been like so helpful to me. Also just kind of treating myself to things I like. So if it's like go to see a movie, just something where I can kind of escape. One of my favorite places is the library because I like to read as well. So just like having those little moments for myself has been like awesome.
So for me, I do go to the gym. I like to lift weights. I find that enjoyable. But mainly my morning routine where I get up, I meditate for 10 minutes, I do some yoga postures, some sun salutations, and listen to positive affirmations, and that's just a great way to start off my day and usually gives me this kind of buzz, this flow that I take through the day with me.
Besides my massage, which I mentioned earlier, I just allow myself to do nothing. I'm so busy all the time, in my head, in my body, with my husband, to just sit and do nothing, with music on, without music on, whatever. And I'm starting to not feel so guilty about it.
I guess I've come to embrace about taking care of myself probably just for the last few months. So I'm kind of new at it. But what's helpful to me is to be away from my husband for a little bit, because I was single after a divorce for 40 years before he and I got married a year and a half ago. So I'm very used to, and I'm an introvert and I like being by myself. And so having somebody else, especially somebody else with needs, is straining on me. And so we've arranged every week, if it works out every week, for him to go to his mom's and stay overnight and be there Saturday. He lived with her during the time of his divorce and stuff, so this is not a new thing for them, but it gets him out of the house and I can have the house to myself and do projects, and I get a lot more done when he's not there. And then once a month or every 6 weeks I go to a girlfriend who lives about an hour away. He still goes to his mom's, and so he's not home alone, and then I go out, I go away and be with her. So I'm trying to put that in place purposefully to help, rather than waiting till I feel like I need it, just put it on the calendar and go with it.
I do a number of things, but there's two sides. You know, there's the part of me that wants to share my story. So on that side, I take care of myself. I have a Stephen minister, which is awesome because I just get to talk and talk and talk and talk. And I blog on scripture about my journey. That helps me. It kind of reminds me who's got my back. And so that's the side of me that says I'm a caregiver. I acknowledge it. I'm, again, writing books, which I find cathartic. But then there's the side of me who says, you know what, I don't want to be a caregiver. This was not something I chose, and this is just not who so I have to have those moments when I'm not. And so my husband has a companion who comes in 3 days a week for 5 hours, and it's my time when I can get out. He comes the second Monday of every month so I can go to my bunco group, and I am a bunco person and I am not a caregiver. And I have my best friend comes over once a week, and we go, and my husband's still there, but he's in the house, but I'm there, and we go sit on the back patio and have a glass of wine and some sushi or whatever, and just being normal.
I'm going to say all of the above. But for me in particular, I need downtime, alone time. I recharge my battery so that I can give out on a regular basis.
I do Qigong. I started taking a class this past maybe January, February, but we also have practice sessions on Sunday mornings, which are small. Just a few people come to those sessions, but those have been almost like a lifesaver for me, because we also, after the session, sometimes we talk. I also started having a lot of different physical manifestations, pains. As I don't know if it was a result of the Qigong. The teacher said it's not unusual, but sometimes we talk about those things also. And I think I'm starting another class this Tuesday, another 6-week session. And spirituality is very important for me, my faith. And, you know, like some people like to go dancing or spend time in movies, whatever. I do like movies, but any chance I get, I like to hear speakers. I lived in Israel for many years, in Jerusalem, and during this particular season, this fall, winter season, a lot of speakers are coming from Israel. I go to hear them speak. I spend time at synagogue, sometimes go to classes, and that kind of keeps me going. I feel lately less and less connected to my family. I have 3 siblings, 3 sisters. 2 are out of town, but I don't feel like, you know, we were close as kids, but I feel like we're all kind of moving in different directions, and I'm the one who's kind of closest, you know, taking care of my mom.
Okay, all good ideas. A lot of things in the toolbox. Got a new thing in the toolbox already with the Aikido idea. But so a lot of things are kind of like a high fence. Takes a little bit of effort to do. But when my thoughts start to downward spiral, or I start to feel bad or anxious or overwhelmed or whatever, I like to have something that's just the low bar. This is easy to step right into. And so my number one mantra is get up, get out. Get up, get out. And so if I would just walk, that may mean just walk out on the patio, walk down the sidewalk. Our neighborhood has a green belt, so it's like from our door through the green belt and back is a 35-minute walk. And I never come back from a walk feeling the same as I did when I left. Usually I've untangled those thoughts of whatever it is. And so my mantra is get up, get out.
I'm going to ditto all of you. You all had just fantastic ideas. You filled in all the blanks. And we all know that there are more things that we can do, different classes, different experiences like that. I'm filling in one that we didn't touch on, and really I know it works for me, is I'll call it finding my voice. Finding my voice. When I'm feeling that there is something that is lacking in my self-care, if I just look at it as a big topic, I often can drill down to where did I drop the ball, or where am I resisting? It's resistance again, going in the direction of the fall. Where am I resisting saying what needs to be said? It might be to my sibling. It might be to my caree. It might be to a doctor. It might be in the hospital. It might be, oh, no, we're not going to do that care plan. But finding my voice is a huge form of self-care as the caregiver, especially when people don't really see that the role is as important as it clearly is.
Thank you. Yeah, as I hear everyone sharing, it seems like part of the benefit, again, of being in the group is hearing the diversity of ways that we take care of ourselves. And I'm glad you mentioned, yes, some of these things require energy. What doesn't require energy? Feeling your feet on the floor, feeling your back body, breathing, making intentional breaths, right? If you focus only on the inhale, that's only one thing you got to do, because the exhale is going to take care of itself. That's one thing that's always available to you. Intentional awareness practices help cultivate a sense of self-efficacy and strength. It promotes resilience. And this is a very wordy slide, and I really don't want to go into too much of this. We only have about 10 minutes left in our talk today. So I think the way I want to frame resistance, I want to frame it as resistance being assistance. So whenever you feel that you're resisting something, resisting self-care, resisting some other aspect of the caregiving situation, resisting an emotion, think of that as an assisted device. Like this is something that's coming into your life to assist you into some new trajectory in your life. It's a shift of the perspective, because when there's resistance, we tend to push back. But like the Aikido mantra. We want to lean into the fall. We welcome the resistance. We allow it to be here in our body. We notice, what comes up. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, sensations. Are we clenched? Are we loose? What is here now? And cultivating that sense of awareness is extremely important.
No.
Okay. I guess an attitude of gratitude is always nice. And I like this phrase, when practicing archery, you become the archer. Okay, so I want to introduce this concept of brilliant sanity, and then we can discuss it a little bit more. So brilliant sanity suggests that we all have within us a natural dignity and wisdom, that our basic nature is characterized by clarity, openness, and compassion. And this wisdom may be temporarily covered over, but it is there and it may be cultivated. So regardless of what is going on, we can see the resistance as a part of ourself that is wise, that is protecting ourselves. When we avoid, that's a part of ourselves that's saying, hey, part of this doesn't feel right to me. We want to embrace that as some kind of clarity about our human nature. When we numb out, or for individuals who have struggled with various issues such as drug addiction, maybe we reframe that as this person is flawed and has all these problems. Maybe we reframe this as this is a brilliant attempt for them to take care of their needs. And so yes, this is a challenge. This is a different way of looking at experience, a different way of looking at the way we live our lives. And so I kind of want to end here and open this up to you. What is this concept of brilliant sanity? What does this mean? What does it mean to you?
I'd like to hear your thoughts. So the short one that I'm going to share is that it's in your body, it's in your breath, and you have a natural relationship with it because it's going to happen. Your breath keeps you alive, so you don't die on yourself when you're not thinking about it. In addition, you have a relationship to it, so you can increase your inhale and be conscious with your inhale, and you can increase your exhale and what it is that you give out into the world as a result of it. So that it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual.
Okay, so one way that I kind of think about this is there's a prayer I've done for several years now, and I started it. I didn't believe it when I started it, but I heard it and thought I'm going to keep trying it until I believe it. And it's basically just a prayer, very simple, just thank you for giving me enough for today. So this kind of comes back to the inside-outside, but essentially I think you can receive even a prayer from a religious point of view as from being given from the inside out, not from the outside in necessarily. Or you just think about it as you guys just talked about it, as just you just are inherently, it's there. And so I don't always feel like I am enough or have enough, but I know on any given day, and especially in those days when I get out and I just kind of have this affirmational prayer of I receive, thank you, I have enough for today. I'm not worried about tomorrow or 2 months from now. I don't have to solve all those things, but for today, I've got it. And inevitably, that is challenged before the day is over. And then I'm like, dang it. If I didn't have enough, then I could just lose it on this situation. But then I think, no, I can deal with this. It's just one thing, just one conversation. And so to me, I hear enough within that.
So for me, that is a pretty neat description of what brilliant sanity is, and I guess I interpret it as being able to understand other people's perspectives and acknowledging that everybody has their own way of having dignity and wisdom, and that it may not coincide with yours, but the ability to have that awareness, I think, makes you have brilliant sanity. That's a new term I haven't heard of yet.
I absolutely love these two words together. Because on the one hand, to be brilliant is to be a genius. And when you think of sanity, you could think of being just crazy or you're a mad genius or something, which I think we're all a little bit of a mad genius. So it's inspiring. Thank you.
Anyone else have any thoughts about brilliant sanity? How about our caregiving situation, our loved one? Can we find any brilliant sanity in the disease process? It might be a challenge.
I can share this is not my experience, but I don't know if anyone listened to the Moth Radio Hour. It's a really cool NPR where they people just talk about their life story. And I cannot remember his name, but he's a famous actor. He's Italian. But at any rate, he was telling a story about his brother being severely mentally ill and was in a state hospital, just tried to burn down their mom's home, just really scary. And he goes to visit him with his mom, and he said, his brother, there was a blackout, and but his brother was very insistent that they have to take him out to eat. He has his routine. And so his brother looked at him while they were eating and say, "You get a lot of your material from me, don't you?" And then in that moment, he realized, oh my God, he's like, yeah, I do. So here was this really mentally disturbed person who had this complete moment of clarity as far as his purpose in his brother's life, at least one aspect of it. And he's like, "You get a lot of your material from me, don't you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I kind of do." I just thought that was brilliant. So that came to mind when you asked about the caregiving journey.
Yeah, and some people who are authors, right? We're sharing our story. Those who are speaking are sharing our story. We're finding the brilliance in the chaotic. We're finding the light in the darkness. Yeah. Any other thoughts on brilliant sanity?
Vocabulary word of the day.
Word of the day? Yeah. Okay, so, I think we have just a few more minutes left. Okay, yeah. And so what I would like to do is I would like to offer a little guided meditation, if you're amenable to that, maybe a little body scan, so that we can end this session practicing self-care here and now. So go ahead and find yourself a nice comfy position and allow yourself to check into this moment. If you need to move or stretch, some stretching feels good, maybe neck turns, some movement in the body, and feel your feet on the floor. See if you can put all of your attention to your feet on the floor. What does it feel like to make contact? Knowing that you are supported by the earth, knowing that you are supported by this building, knowing that you are supported by this group of people. And feel into that. And noticing the feet, we'll begin to raise our awareness up the legs, into the knees, and then the thighs. Checking in with the hips and the lower back and the tummy. Noticing if there's anything present in the chest and the upper back. Feeling into the shoulders. And down each arm, and the elbows, and the wrist, and all 10 fingers. Bringing awareness to the neck, and to the head. Breathing in, knowing that you are breathing in. Breathing out, knowing that you are breathing out.
The inhale contains all you need. Increase its depth in your belly and honor its presence there. Yours is the Buddha belly, and you are pregnant with breath. Exhale and giving yourself, the deepest part of you, out into life in the best possible way. Letting go, letting go, letting go. You are in perfect balance. And may this remain so for you every single time you bring your mind back to taking a conscious breath. Breathing in, I calm. Breathing out, I smile. Present moment. Wonderful moment. Gently bring yourself back here. Eyes will open. Body will stretch. And you are all set to go. We have, Andrew uploaded 15, count them, handouts. So if you don't know how to do that, I'll meet you outside and show you how to use that on your app. But your app has a lot of opportunity. So please look at those. I'm offering a yoga class tomorrow morning if you're still around. So we'll do a 20-minute practice if you want to do that before you get in your car, train, or plane. And thank you so much for being here. This was awesome.